Welcome back. It's go time out here in the shop on the wagon. Progress. We got to keep making progress, keep putting it together. We're not being held up by anything but my laziness to preventing things from getting done. So I'm going to try and put that aside a little bit. And because we recently made the change to Fenderwell headers, all the work I did on those doesn't quite get the job done anymore. So today I'm going to, we're going to modify the inner fenders so that they can be installed. Which hopefully that's what we'll get to where we can put the inner fenders in. Obviously, Fenderwell headers, let me throw that aside for a second. Fenderwell headers are, they go through the Fenderwell. And my current inner fenders don't have anywhere for that to happen. So what I've already done with this piece of CAD software is create a template. Now I know it looks kind of wonky, but it's not. It's actually just right. Hold on a second and I'll show you how this lines up with the panel and what we got to cut. And hopefully that's all we'll have to do is cut one chunk out and we'll be good. Here's the inner fender panel for the passenger side. And this is my CAD template for the passenger side. Actually, it's for both sides. I actually made sure that the cutout could be the same on both sides. And the way this will work is this edge right here lines up right there, and the bottom of the cardboard lines up with where the bend is, where it passes the frame. So this is where it meets the frame rail. And so I line it up like that, and ignore the fact that this is a little overcut on my cardboard. I actually want to cut it where my black mark is right here, but have this same shape. And then basically there's my cutout right there. That's what I'm going to need to remove for this to clear the header. Now, what that doesn't account for is the fact that when the cardboard goes in, let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. That'll work-ish. When the cardboard goes in, it's flexible. It kind of bends. And it's kind of hard to gauge exactly, what the install is going to be. The panel is not going to have as much movement in it. It's going to be a little bit stiffer. So I may have to open the cutout up a little bit as needed for installing the panel. But initially I want to start with cutting out less, because less is easier to fix if we got to fix it. Can always cut more, right? Anyway, let's get this first one marked out and cut. here's my first stab at the cutout. And I pretty much followed my template lines almost perfectly. Getting into these corners with the tools I have was, well, I probably could have got in there by hand with some of my files and cleaned that up a little bit more, and I might still do that. But for now, just for the test fit, it's pretty good. But getting in there with a grinder into corners like that is a pain in the neck if you're not cutting square corners, and I really didn't want square corners. So anyway, it wasn't that bad, just kind of a pain. Now the question is, can I install it? And I don't know. Maybe. There we go. Oh, that's on the wrong side of the bar. Come on. Okay, so let me grab a clamp. I don't have a clamp handy. All right, well, I'll tell you, and then maybe I can show you. But in short, the opening height-wise is pretty much perfect. Looks like it could go up just a little bit more, maybe a ½ inch or so to the top clearance, just to give a little more breathing room on the tubes, on the top tubes, once this is bolted in, and a little more adjustment. And it also needs to be cut deeper into the panel. Ah, that was my toe. By about an inch. So we need to cut up about a ½ inch and in further about an inch. That's doable. If I can get it out of here. There we go. And no doubt we scratched the header. No big deal. I went ahead and got both fenders cut. I kind of went for it. After checking the fitment on the first one, seeing where it needed a little bit more trimmed out of it, I did that trimming, and then I did some really rough updates to my template and threw it on the other fender, because when I originally made the template, it matched up pretty similar on both sides. So I'm assuming that the cuts here need to be about the same on both sides. So the driver's side hasn't been test fit at all. We just kind of went for it. Getting ready to put these on, and I figured I'd bring you along for that part of it. But before I get into actually putting them on, I'm going to walk over here to where my paint rack is. It's a little dark. We'll go back over to the fenders. Hold on, I got to grab something. But I was pleasantly surprised that if you recall, if you watched any of the earlier videos, I used this stuff, Iron Armor truck bed coating, as the finish for the Fenderwell tire side of the inner fender. And you know, that's what it looks like. Slightly textured, semi-gloss. But what I was surprised by is how well it took the heat of the grinder, just digging into this metal, making the metal all hot, cutting it with a grinder. And there's almost no marks or peeling or failure of that coating whatsoever from doing the grinder cutting on it. So I'm actually pretty impressed with that. The coating held up really well. So anyway, let me get the camera propped up so that you can watch me quick clamp these inner fenders into place, and hopefully, by all means, the cuts are good and we're one step closer to putting the front end together. All right, so we'll start with the passenger side, because it's the one that by all means should just fit, because it's already been in here. And it is kind of a pain wiggling, but not too bad. Just kind of quick clamp that in there. All right, and the driver's side, which hasn't even been attempted yet. Let's see what this goes like. Hopefully, it'll just go right on into where it needs to be. Oh, bummer. It is slightly different on the driver's side. Slightly. All right, let me give you a closer look at what we got. Where's my light? Light, where are you, light? Oh, it's over here. It's on the charger. Don't mind. Hang out for a second. I'm gonna get some light because with all those matte black panels, you can't really see anything over there. Get the light off the charger. Which, by the way, these things, they're pretty fantastic. Magnetic base, rechargeable batteries. They put out a good bit of light. I recommend them. It's off Amazon. It's like 20 bucks. All right, there we go. We'll just hold it for now. All right, so there's our clearances over here. We've got on the two tubes that are high, we have, you know, finger gap there, 1/2 inch there, a little more than a 1/2 inch on that tube. The tube up here at the front is pretty tight, but the panel right now is all the way back against the firewall, and I know that once it's bolted in and this comes up against the core support, that it isn't kissed back that far. So this should get a little bit of a gap there once we have a core support on. And I have the bottom, I put a clamp on down there at the bottom, bringing that in against the frame rail. So, and our clearance underneath is plenty. We've probably got 3-4 fingers underneath. I don't know if you can see that. That's plenty. It actually could have been less, but then I wouldn't have been able to get the inner fender to slide in without taking stuff apart. So that was what was needed on that side. Now, the driver's side, things are a little bit different. Come here, Mr. Light. There we go. The clearance here at the front is plenty. This inner fender is not quite back as far as that one is at the moment, but it's got adjustment. There's another, you know, what is that? A full finger, 3/8 of an inch or so, and it can't go back, you know, much different than that. So we're good there. Our clearance underneath is a little tight, but it won't be bad once this pulls into the frame, which I can force it there. We got, I don't know, 2 fingers at the bottom. So clearly the tube's configuration and shape is different on the passenger side than it is between the two sides, which you would expect. But when I do force it in, if you look up there at this primary tube right here, which is the number 7 cylinder, make sure we can see what I'm talking about here. Number 7 cylinder right here hits the inner fender. So when I force it in, it's tweaking the whole inner fender because it's hitting on the tube right there. So we're gonna have to notch this side up a little bit higher right here around where the number 7 primary tube is. Otherwise, the rest of that is just fine. And as you saw, I was able to slide it down into place. So one more little notch on that, and that inner fender's done. This inner fender's done. Then I'll scuff the inside and put another coat of paint on them because there's some scratches on them now. And where I did the cutting, there's bare metal, and I want to cover that up. But that's about it. One thing I will note with this, previously when I was putting the inner fenders in, I was dropping them in this direction, coming straight down into place over the, wiggle them down in. So it was even to where with the outer fender in or with the core support on, I could get the inner fender in. Now that we've got the Fenderwell headers, the inner fender can't come down this direction because I've got keeping that section that is under the header to try and close off more of the engine bay, try and keep that gap around the Fenderwell header minimal, trying not to have it be too excessive. So because of that piece, these inner fenders now have to slide in from the front. That's going to be a little bit wonky as far as how I put the front end back together, because that means that the core support can't be on when the inner fenders go in, which makes it a little wonky with hanging the outer fenders, because the outer fenders bolt up to the core support. So they have to be supported back there at the cowl. Probably what will end up happening is I will throw the inner fenders down in the hole about where they need to be, then put I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. That's a problem for another video that's coming up real soon. So if you want to see what that struggle looks like, be sure to hit that subscribe, like this video, make sure you like that one when it comes out. And that's going to do it for now. So we will see you guys on the next one. Psych! You thought I was going to let you go away without seeing it actually finished. Oh, well, let's redefine finished. It's not actually a finished car, but the inner fender cuts are made. They're fitted properly. I'll show you what that looks like. But I had to throw the core support on as well. I mean, look at that. Doesn't it freaking look good? I mean, none of it's bolted in. It's just sitting there. But whew, now we're finally getting somewhere. Here's a close-up montage with a little bit of music. Be sure, like I said just a second ago, hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next one.